What is educational psychology? Educational psychology is the study of how people learn and the processes that influence teaching and learning in educational settings. It examines factors such as cognitive development, motivation, instructional strategies, and assessment techniques to improve educational outcomes. Etymology of educational psychology? The term educational psychology comes from the combination of education, which refers to the process of facilitating learning, and psychology, which is the scientific study of behavior and mental processes. Therefore, educational psychology focuses on applying psychological principles to educational practices. What is education? Education is the process of acquiring knowledge, skills, values, and beliefs through instruction, training, or study. It encompasses formal schooling as well as informal learning experiences and plays a vital role in personal development, socialization, and societal advancement. Etymological meaning of psychology? The term psychology originates from the Greek word psyche, meaning soul or mind, and logos, meaning study or knowledge. Therefore, the etymological meaning of psychology is the study or knowledge of the soul or mind. Meaning of psychology: the scientific study of mind and behavior. This is the most common definition today. Psychologists focus on observable aspects of human experience, including behavior, how people act in different situations; mental processes, our thoughts, feelings, emotions, and motivations; conscious and unconscious phenomena, everything from our deliberate choices to our hidden biases. Literally, the word itself comes from Greek roots psyche, soul, and logos, study, so originally, it was meant as the science of the soul. Historically, early psychology did focus on the soul's properties and functions, but as science progressed, the focus shifted to what we can observe and measure. Science of mind. This emphasizes the mental processes like thinking, feeling, learning, and remembering. Science of consciousness. This focuses on the state of being aware of ourselves and our surroundings. Science of behavior. This is the most common understanding today. It looks at observable actions and reactions, how people interact with the world, and the underlying mental processes that cause them. Definition of psychology? B.F. Skinner, Crow and Crow, Kurt Koffka. Generally, psychology is the scientific study of mind and behavior. It focuses on understanding how people think, feel, and act. B.F. Skinner, known for his work on behaviorism, defined psychology as the science of behavior and experience. Crow and Crow. These psychologists offered a definition that emphasizes the human aspect, study of human behavior and human relationships. Kurt Koffka, a Gestalt psychology pioneer, Koffka offered a broader definition, scientific study of the behavior of living creatures in their contact with the outer world. This definition highlights how psychology looks at interactions between organisms and their environment. Conclusion of psychology. Psychology is a multifaceted discipline that explores the complexities of human behavior and mental processes. It combines scientific rigor with human understanding to unravel the mysteries of the mind. Through empirical research and theoretical advancements, psychology seeks to enhance our understanding of human nature, promote mental health and well-being, and address societal issues. Meaning of the term behavior: 5 points. 1. Behavior refers to the actions, reactions, or responses of organisms to stimuli in their environment. 2. It encompasses observable actions, such as walking, talking, or smiling, as well as internal processes like thinking and feeling. 3. Behavior can be influenced by various factors, including genetics, environment, experiences, and cultural norms. 4. In psychology, behavior is studied using systematic observation, experimentation, and measurement to understand its underlying mechanisms. 5. Understanding behavior is crucial for comprehending human development, cognition, emotion, motivation, personality, and social interactions. Nature of psychology: 10 points. 1. Psychology is a science. It employs systematic methods of observation, experimentation, and analysis to study behavior and mental processes. 2. Interdisciplinary. Psychology draws from various fields such as biology, sociology, neuroscience, philosophy, and anthropology to understand human behavior comprehensively. 3. Empirical. Psychology relies on empirical evidence gathered through systematic observation and experimentation rather than speculation or anecdotal evidence. 4. Objective and subjective. While psychological research aims for objectivity, it also recognizes the subjective experiences and interpretations of individuals. 5. Dynamic. Psychology is constantly evolving, with new theories, methods, and research findings shaping our understanding of human behavior. 6. Applied and theoretical. Psychology encompasses both applied fields, such as clinical, counseling, and industrial organizational psychology, and theoretical areas, such as cognitive, developmental, and social psychology. 7. Individual and group focus. Psychology explores both individual differences and group dynamics, studying how behavior is influenced by both personal characteristics and social contexts. 8. Descriptive and explanatory. Psychology describes observable behavior and seeks to explain the underlying processes and mechanisms that govern behavior. 9. Ethical. Psychologists adhere to ethical principles and guidelines to ensure the well-being and rights of research participants and clients. 10. Practical and societal relevance. Psychology has practical applications in various domains, including education, healthcare, business, and social policy, contributing to individual and societal well-being. What kind of science is psychology? Psychology is considered a social science, as it focuses on studying human behavior and mental processes in social contexts. It also incorporates elements of natural science, particularly neuroscience and biology, in understanding the biological basis of behavior. What kind of positive science is psychology? Psychology is a positive science, meaning it seeks to describe, explain, and predict phenomena based on empirical evidence rather than normative judgments or subjective beliefs. It employs scientific methods to systematically study behavior and mental processes, aiming for objectivity and generalizability in its findings. Scope of psychology. The scope of psychology is broad and encompasses various domains, including understanding individual differences and personality, exploring cognitive processes such as memory, perception, and language, investigating emotional and motivational factors that influence behavior, studying developmental changes across the lifespan, examining social interactions, group dynamics, and cultural influences, addressing mental health issues and psychological disorders, applying psychological principles in education, healthcare, business, and other fields to improve human well-being and quality of life. Branches and fields of psychology. Psychology comprises numerous branches and fields, including but not limited to 1. Clinical psychology 2. Counseling psychology 3. Developmental psychology 4. Cognitive psychology 5. Social psychology 6. Educational psychology 7. Industrial organizational psychology 8. Health psychology 9. Forensic psychology 10. Neuropsychology 11. Experimental psychology 12. Environmental psychology 13. Sports psychology. Each branch focuses on specific aspects of human behavior and mental processes, applying psychological principles in diverse settings and contexts. Branches of pure psychology. Branches of pure psychology typically focus on the scientific study of various aspects of human behavior and mental processes. Here's a brief explanation of each branch. 1. General psychology. General psychology is a broad field that covers fundamental principles and theories of psychology. It explores topics such as perception, cognition, learning, memory, motivation, emotion, and personality. 2. Abnormal psychology. Abnormal psychology investigates psychological disorders, including their causes, symptoms, diagnosis, and treatment. It examines abnormal behavior, thoughts, and emotions, aiming to understand and alleviate psychological distress and dysfunction. 3. Social psychology. Social psychology studies how individuals' thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are influenced by social interactions, groups, and cultural factors. It explores topics such as social influence, conformity, obedience, attitudes, prejudice, and interpersonal relationships. 4. Experimental psychology. Experimental psychology focuses on conducting controlled experiments to study various aspects of human behavior and mental processes. It employs scientific methods to investigate topics such as perception, memory, learning, and decision-making. 5. Physiological psychology. Physiological psychology, also known as biopsychology or psychobiology, examines the biological basis of behavior and mental processes. It investigates how the brain, nervous system, hormones, and genetics influence behavior, cognition, and emotion. 6. Parapsychology. Parapsychology is the study of paranormal or psychic phenomena that cannot be explained by conventional scientific principles. It explores topics such as extrasensory perception, ESP, telepathy, clairvoyance, and psychokinesis. 7. Geopsychology. Geopsychology is a lesser-known branch of psychology that examines the relationship between individuals and their physical environment. It investigates how factors such as geography, climate, and landscape influence human behavior, well-being, and mental health. 8. Developmental psychology. Developmental psychology studies the psychological growth and changes that occur throughout the lifespan, from infancy to old age. It explores cognitive, emotional, social, and physical development, as well as the factors that shape individual differences and developmental trajectories. Branches of applied psychology. Branches of applied psychology focus on the practical application of psychological principles and techniques to address real-world issues and improve people's lives. Here's a brief explanation of each branch. 1. Educational psychology. Educational psychology applies psychological theories and research to educational settings. It focuses on understanding how people learn and develop, designing effective teaching methods, assessing learning outcomes, and addressing educational challenges such as learning disabilities and behavioral problems. 2. Clinical psychology. Clinical psychology involves the assessment, diagnosis, and treatment of mental health disorders and psychological problems. Clinical psychologists work with individuals, families, and groups to provide therapy, counseling, and interventions to improve mental well-being and quality of life. 3. Industrial psychology. Industrial psychology, also known as organizational or occupational psychology, applies psychological principles to workplace settings. It addresses issues such as employee motivation, job satisfaction, leadership, teamwork, organizational culture, and human resource management to enhance productivity and organizational effectiveness. 4. Legal psychology. Legal psychology applies psychological knowledge and research to the legal system and criminal justice processes. It examines topics such as eyewitness testimony, jury decision-making, forensic assessment, criminal profiling, and the psychological factors underlying criminal behavior. 5. Military psychology. Military psychology focuses on addressing the psychological needs and challenges of military personnel and their families. It involves areas such as combat stress, trauma, resilience, leadership, teamwork, and the psychological effects of deployment on military personnel's mental health and well-being. 6. Political psychology. Political psychology explores the psychological factors that influence political behavior, attitudes, and decision-making at individual, group, and societal levels. It examines topics such as political ideology, voting behavior, political leadership, intergroup relations, and public opinion formation. Political psychologists aim to understand and predict political phenomena and inform policymaking and governance processes. Meaning of educational psychology. Educational psychology is the branch of psychology that focuses on understanding how people learn and develop in educational settings. It applies psychological principles and theories to improve teaching methods, enhance learning outcomes, and address educational challenges. Nature of educational psychology. As science, educational psychology employs scientific methods to study learning, cognition, motivation, and behavior in educational contexts. As natural science, it investigates the biological and cognitive processes underlying learning and development. As social science, it examines how social factors, such as peer interactions and cultural influences, impact learning and behavior. As positive science, educational psychology aims to describe, explain, and predict learning processes based on empirical evidence. As an applied science, it applies psychological principles to solve practical problems in education and improve teaching practices. Nature of educational psychology is scientific. 1. Empirical. It relies on systematic observation, experimentation, and data analysis to study learning and behavior. 2. Objective. It seeks to uncover universal principles of learning that apply across different contexts and populations. 3. Cumulative. It builds upon existing research findings and theoretical frameworks to advance knowledge in the field. 4. Systematic. It follows standardized research methods and procedures to ensure reliability and validity of findings. 5. Testable. It formulates hypotheses and theories that can be tested and verified through empirical research. 6. Generalizable. It aims to generalize findings from specific studies to broader populations and educational settings. 7. Falsifiable. It allows theories to be tested and potentially disproven through empirical evidence. 8. Replicable. It encourages replication of studies to verify and validate research findings. 9. Predictive. It generates predictions about learning outcomes and behavior based on empirical evidence. 10. Applicable. It applies scientific knowledge to develop evidence-based interventions and teaching strategies. Objectives of educational psychology. 7 objectives. 1. Understand how learning occurs and factors that influence it. 2. Identify individual differences in learning styles, abilities, and needs. 3. Improve teaching methods and instructional design to enhance learning outcomes. 4. Address learning difficulties, disabilities, and special educational needs. 5. Foster motivation, engagement, and positive attitudes towards learning. 6. Promote social and emotional development, including interpersonal skills and resilience. 7. Contribute to the overall well-being and academic success of learners. Teaching objectives of educational psychology. 7 objectives. 1. Facilitate meaningful and active engagement in learning activities. 2. Adapt teaching strategies to accommodate diverse learning styles and preferences. 3. Provide constructive feedback and reinforcement to support student progress. 4. Create a supportive and inclusive learning environment that fosters collaboration and mutual respect. 5. Encourage critical thinking, problem solving, and independent learning skills. 6. Utilize technology and multimedia resources effectively to enhance teaching and learning. 7. Cultivate positive teacher-student relationships and rapport to promote student motivation and achievement. Scope of educational psychology. 11 scopes. 1. Learning theories and processes. 2. Cognitive development and intelligence. 3. Motivation and self-regulated learning. 4. Individual differences and special educational needs. 5. Classroom management and behavior modification. 6. Assessment and evaluation of learning outcomes. 7. Instructional design and curriculum development. 8. Social and emotional development in education. 9. Educational technology and multimedia learning. 10. Teacher training and professional development. 11. Educational counseling and guidance. Relevance of educational psychology for teachers. 15 points. 1. Understanding how students learn. 2. Adapting teaching methods to individual student needs. 3. Promoting student engagement and motivation. 4. Managing classroom behavior effectively. 5. Designing effective instructional materials and activities. 6. Assessing student learning outcomes accurately. 7. Providing constructive feedback and support to students. 8. Creating a positive and inclusive learning environment. 9. Supporting students with diverse learning styles and abilities. 10. Addressing learning difficulties and disabilities sensitively. 11. Collaborating with colleagues and parents to support student success. 12. Using technology to enhance teaching and learning. 13. Fostering social and emotional development in students. 14. Recognizing signs of psychological distress or mental health issues in students. 15. Continuously improving teaching practices through reflective practice and professional development. Relationship between education and psychology. 7 points. 1. Education applies psychological principles to enhance teaching and learning processes. 2. Psychology provides insights into individual differences in learning styles and abilities. 3. Educational practices are informed by psychological theories of motivation and behavior. 4. Psychological research informs educational policymaking and curriculum development. 5. Effective teaching requires an understanding of cognitive and developmental psychology. 6. Psychology contributes to educational assessment and evaluation practices. 7. The goal of education aligns with psychological objectives of promoting well-being and personal growth. Page 8. Different aspects of education related to psychology principles. 1. Learning, understanding how students acquire knowledge and skills. 2. Memory, applying strategies to enhance retention and recall of information. 3. Motivation, stimulating students' interest and engagement in learning activities. 4. Attention, managing distractions and maintaining focus during instruction. 5. Intelligence, recognizing diverse abilities and strengths among students. 6. Development, addressing age-appropriate learning needs and challenges. 7. Emotion, creating a supportive and emotionally safe learning environment. 8. Social interaction, promoting cooperative learning and positive peer relationships. 9. Assessment, using valid and reliable methods to evaluate student progress. 10. Individual differences, accommodating diverse learning styles and needs. 11. Behavior management, implementing strategies to promote positive behavior and discipline. Methods of educational psychology. 1. Introspection method. Explanation. Introspection involves self-observation and reflection on one's own thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Steps. 1. Individuals reflect on their mental processes and experiences. 2. They report their observations and thoughts to researchers or educators. Values. 1. Provides insight into subjective experiences. 2. Helps identify individual differences in cognitive processes. 3. Allows for self-awareness and personal growth. 4. Facilitates understanding of complex emotional states. 5. Can be used to explore metacognitive strategies. 6. Enhances empathy and perspective-taking skills. 7. Encourages critical reflection on learning experiences. Limitations. 1. Subjective nature may lead to biased or unreliable reports. 2. Difficult to quantify or measure introspective data. 3. May not capture unconscious or implicit mental processes. 4. Relies on individuals' ability to accurately introspect. 5. Vulnerable to social desirability bias. 6. Limited applicability to young children or individuals with cognitive impairments. 7. Lack of standardization makes it challenging to compare across individuals. Page 9. 2. Observation method. Explanation. Observation involves systematically watching and recording behavior in natural or controlled settings. Steps. 1. Identify the behavior or phenomenon to be observed. 2. Select appropriate observation methods, for example, structured, unstructured, participant. 3. Collect data by observing individuals or groups in relevant contexts. 4. Record observations using objective and standardized measures. 5. Analyze and interpret the data to draw conclusions. Values. 1. Provides first-hand information about behavior in real-world contexts. 2. Allows for the study of natural behavior without artificial manipulation. 3. Facilitates identification of patterns and trends over time. 4. Can be used to validate or refute hypotheses generated from other methods. 5. Enhances ecological validity by capturing behavior in naturalistic settings. 6. Useful for studying social interactions and group dynamics. 7. Supports triangulation when combined with other research methods. Limitations. 1. Observer bias may influence interpretation of behavior. 2. Limited by the observer's perspective and attentional focus. 3. Intrusive or conspicuous observation may alter natural behavior. 4. Reliability may be affected by variations in observer skill and training. 5. Ethical concerns related to privacy and consent. 6. Time-consuming and labor-intensive data collection process. 7. Generalizability may be limited to specific contexts or populations. 3. Experimental method. Explanation. Experimental method involves manipulating variables and measuring their effects on behavior or outcomes. Steps. 1. Formulate a research question or hypothesis. 2. Design an experiment with controlled conditions and variables. 3. Randomly assign participants to experimental and control groups. 4. Manipulate the independent variables in the experimental group. 5. Measure and compare the dependent variables between groups. 6. Analyze the data statistically to determine if there are significant differences. 7. Draw conclusions and make inferences based on the findings. Values. 1. Allows for causal inference by controlling extraneous variables. 2. Provides high internal validity when conducted rigorously. 3. Enables replication and verification of findings. 4. Allows for precise measurement and quantification of variables. 5. Facilitates testing of theories and hypotheses in controlled settings. 6. Can identify cause and effect relationships between variables. 7. Provides a foundation for evidence-based interventions and practices. Limitations. 1. Artificial laboratory conditions may lack ecological validity. 2. Ethical constraints may limit the types of experiments that can be conducted. 3. Demand characteristics or experimenter bias may influence results. 4. Generalizability may be limited to specific populations or contexts. 5. Practical constraints such as time and resources may impact study design. 6. Hawthorne effect or participant reactivity may alter behavior in response to being observed. 7. Some variables of interest may be difficult or unethical to manipulate. 4. Case history method. Explanation. Case history method involves in-depth study and analysis of individual cases or subjects over time. Steps. 1. Select a case or subject of interest, often with unique characteristics or experiences. 2. Gather relevant information through interviews, observations, and archival records. 3. Organize and analyze the collected data to identify patterns, themes, and trends. 4. Develop a comprehensive understanding of the case, including its background, development, and outcomes. Values. 1. Provides rich and detailed information about individual experiences and contexts. 2. Allows for the exploration of rare or unusual phenomena. 3. Facilitates the identification of unique factors or variables that may influence behavior. 4. Enhances understanding of developmental trajectories and life transitions. 5. Supports the formulation of hypotheses and theoretical frameworks. 6. Can inform the development of personalized interventions or treatments. 7. Contributes to the accumulation of knowledge in specialized areas or populations. Limitations. 1. Limited generalizability to broader populations or contexts. 2. Vulnerable to researcher bias or subjective interpretation of data. 3. Difficulty establishing causality due to lack of experimental control. 4. Relies on self-report or retrospective recall, which may be biased or inaccurate. 5. Time-consuming and resource-intensive data collection process. 6. Ethical considerations related to privacy and confidentiality. 7. Challenges in accessing and obtaining comprehensive case histories.